A few years ago, I was speaking at a public high school in Texas, and after the talk, a teenage girl approached me, and she said that she's been in a dead-end, abusive, possessive relationship with an older guy for about 4 years, and it's just going absolutely nowhere, and she didn't know how to get out. And I told her, look, just tell the guy you won't sleep with him anymore, and just watch what happens. And she said, okay, well, I can start there. And she said, and I don't want this anymore. And she took off her necklace, and she said, he makes me wear this. He's just so possessive. And she left, and I took the necklace from her. About 20 minutes later, she comes skipping back into the gym. She gave me a big high five. She said, I did it. I dumped him. I said, well, what happened? She said, I told him I wouldn't sleep with him anymore, and he slammed his locker shut. He threw a book at me, and he said, where's your necklace? And she said, I gave it to the chastity guy. And he said, well, what's he going to do with it? She said, he's going to destroy it. And you see what happened with this girl who had one moment been a little passive wallflower, decided she wanted to sprout a backbone. She tested his love with chastity. Now, chastity is not some repressive, prudish, Victorian idea that sex is inherently bad and dirty. No, it's a virtue that allows you to see if you're being loved or used. And so often, sex will cover up an absence of love that has entirely failed to develop. And so when she challenged him, look, do you love me? Or do you just love sex? Do you really care for me, or you just care about getting pleasure? The demands of authentic human love were altogether too great for him, and he shrunk from the challenge. And so to realize that if a woman hopes to find love, the most important word she needs to learn is that word no, to have a backbone. In fact, my wife and I wrote a book for girls called How to Find Your Soulmate Without Losing Your Soul. And in it, we quote girls that we've met around the world on their backbones. One girl, teenager in Los Angeles, said that one of the criteria she uses to screen out potential guys, she says, look, I don't mean to sound cocky, but I don't want to marry a guy unless he's worthy of my body. Now, by that, she didn't mean she had some flawless figure. She just knew the dignity she possessed. Her body's a temple of the Holy Spirit. Another girl, when breaking up, said this. She said to the guy, not only you did not deserve my body, you don't even deserve my time. Another girl said, I don't hook up. I have morals. If you don't respect that, go home. And lastly, my favorite, one girl said, sure, attention from boys feels good, but knowing that I'm too good for half of them feels even better. I said, you go, girl. And so you see what these girls have done, have made a decision to claim their worth, to claim their dignity. It's not about having some overwhelming emotion that you're just so important and perfect. It's a decision of what type of way you deserve to be treated. And ultimately, to know that worth, you're not going to get it from looking in a mirror. Every time a girl looks in the mirror, she picks herself to pieces. I don't like my hair. I don't like my nose. I don't like my dress. But I think just take a break from that for a second and look for your reflection in the eyes of God. Gaze into that mirror, and He's going to teach you your value. In the Old Testament, in the Song of Songs, erotic love poetry, the lover says to his beloved that her body is like a garden that is locked, a fountain that is sealed. Now, in the Old Testament, in ancient times, pure, clear water was a scarce resource. So they locked it up in a spring with a garden behind a gate to keep any strangers from coming in and contaminating or stealing the water. And that biblical metaphor is used towards the woman's body, that it's not covered and hidden because it's bad and dirty, but precisely because the value is so great. Another way to look at it is that you as a woman, the woman is the most beautiful being on earth. There's nothing of greater beauty on earth. And in heaven, there's nothing more beautiful than God Himself. And so if God's the most beautiful being in heaven, you're the most beautiful on earth, I think women should look to God as to how you should unveil that beauty to the world, how you should reveal it, not just expose it, but unveil it. You look in the Old Testament, the Holy of Holies was the most sacred place in ancient Israel. They had the Ark of the Covenant, the dwelling place of God. And this was housed in the Jerusalem temple behind a veil, behind another veil. And only one man, the high priest, on one day of the year, the Day of Atonement, could pierce through these veils to be in the very presence of the divine, to see the glory of this great mystery unveiled. And the theologians have said that he would wear around his ankles bells, so those on the outside could hear him walking through the temple and saying his prayers. They said he would have a belt around his waist with a rope tied to that, so that that rope would extend outside the Holy of Holies. Why? Because if he came into the presence of God and were struck dead by the very glory of God, that they, on the outside, could pull his body back outside without they themselves having to enter in. And you could imagine the trembling reverence with which he would approach this great mystery. And so likewise, I would say that a woman's body, I would say that your spouse, only a worthy spouse deserves to see the glory of an unveiled mystery. And if you could begin to look at yourself in this way, you won't enter into relationships looking for the love that only God Himself can give to you. Because when He becomes first in your life, then the relationships aren't so much a replacement for His love, they become a reflection of His love. Because you know as well as I do that relationships can become idols. If you and him are good, you're good. You and the boy are bad, and you're bad. And your life becomes dictated by the quality and the state of the relationship, and it can become an idol. But all idols are meant to be broken. And so take that step back. Don't let it get too intense early on. I've had girls tell me, I can't break up with him. He told me if I ever left him, he would die without me. And I say, sweetie, if he can't live without you, he doesn't need a girlfriend. He probably needs a therapist. And so to be able just to step back, spend some time with you and God alone, reclaim your dignity, understand your great worth, and you'll be one step closer to finding your soulmate without losing your soul. God bless you.